So calling the meeting order at 12 o'clock. Do we need a roll call?
I've got it.
Okay. How about the approval of the agenda? Would somebody move that we
Move to approve the agenda?
Okay, is there,
I'll second it. That's the
good. Is there any objection? If no objection, we'll see. They're assuming the agenda is approved. I do have a question about the agenda. There's no minutes.
The minutes were approved at the joint finance and planning meeting.
Good. Public participation. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this committee? If there is, just please speak up. Don't raise your hand. Right, I'm not hearing anyone. Old business. How about the ED renovation update, Kim?
Thank you so much for that. I will jump in and then Lisa probably has some in her project updates also. We've been meeting twice a week with all the stakeholders for the ED remodel. It's going well. We noticed, as you can imagine, from the time that this first started, this project just first started and then it's kind of morphing into what it is now. We've identified some changes, some things that previous stakeholders thought were important that the current stakeholders are like, we're not sure that that's that important. So it's going really well, making sure we're just having all the stakeholders there and with the architects on board. And it's moving pretty quickly. They're still targeting a July 2026 start date for the first part of the phases. And we've had EMS and we'll be bringing in the medevac teams as well to those conversations because I forgot that they also have ambulances that they use for transport to make sure that they're, because for the first and second phases, the ambulance bay, you'll only be able to pull in and back out or back out and pull in. You won't be able to go all the way through. So we're working well with that and happy to answer any questions. And Lisa, I don't know if you have anything to add or if you want to wait till you do your project updates.
Either way.
Well, Lisa, if you have anything to add on this particular topic, why don't you go ahead?
I think Kim did a pretty good job. We do have the contractor already on board, which is Cornerstone, and that's different than we usually run projects. And they've been, I would say, really helpful in just adding in things to think about from a construction point of view. And also, they are very willing when we get to the 65% drawings are due October 17th. And at that same time, we'll get an estimate from a third party and an estimate from the contractor. And the contractor is also kind of keeping a list of wish list items so that we will have the cost of those if we, for some reason the estimate comes in under or we're able to value engineer, we'll have those costs. I think that's going to be super helpful. I think, yeah, a big date is October 17th when we get, those 65% drawings. CBJ is changing their building code, but we are going to build under the current code. So we're going to use those drawings to start our building permit process. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
For Kim, if I may. Stakeholders, who are the, I assume you're talking nurses, head nurse and physicians.
Yes, so we've had Dr. Totten, who's medical director of the ED. We've had both of the interim ED directors. We have security, Mark with facilities. We have Charity with registration that's been involved. We've brought in case management has been involved. Anybody that has that little space in there. Lab and X-ray are aware of it, but it doesn't really affect them much. It's not going to affect the change for lab at all. X-ray has been involved because where we're going to put the portables at. So yeah, all of those key folks are there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next topic? Then Kim, it looks like you're on again for the call light invitation.
Yes, thank you. So the call lights, the POs got signed last week at the 5 o'clock. So we were implementing the call light. I think they're planning on trying to start either the end of October, beginning November. They'll do the whole hospital first. They're kind of they're gonna do the ER, but they're gonna kind of like lay the wirings in, but then phase in the new call-out system when the construction starts. So they're working closely. So those, the construction, Cornerstone and those folks and Hillron Baxter folks have been brought together so they can start figuring out what that looks like. So that's exciting. It'll be good. Myself and Mark spent some time last week just verifying all of the call lights, the staff assists. We found some things that were left off of the quote. And so we're working with them to make sure that those are included into the project. But we think we got everything. We confirmed it last week, and they should be starting that sometimes within the next couple of months. The goal is to try to get the majority of that done before crew season, because we're going to have the ED renovation is going to start during crew season. So we get the call lights implemented, and they'll move as quickly as our census will allow. So if we have a low census on MedSearch, for example, and we have 5 rooms open, they can get those done. But they'll have to take down the call light system while they're doing that. So all the ED directors were apprised of that this past week in a meeting, that we'd have to find an alternative way for a couple hours for patients to be able to call out for help. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Yeah,
Okay,
if
Cool.
I may step in just for one clarification, and Kim, this may be entirely what you said, but it just sounded a little different to me. But in this first phase, we are going to replace the call lights in the existing ED also. And while they're there, they're going to put the wiring up for the new. So then when we are doing the renovation, just walls that are coming down, those will be changed, and we'll put new ones where there's new walls. But the majority of it will all be turned over before we start our new project, if that makes sense.
okay. Any questions about that? All right, then, project updates. Lisa, do you have more for us on that topic?
Sure, there's not too much, but the ground floor abatement, asbestos abatement on the flooring, as I've been saying, we're really close to done, but we still have a little tiny bit of abatement that was missed in the fax security storage room, and they are still planning to finish that up the 3rd week or later October when they're back for another project. The Wildflower Court fuel tank installation, pretty much the same, I believe, as last month, where we're just wrapping up getting warranties and O&M manuals. The work is complete. Hot off the press, the Wildflower Court sidewalk replacement. As of yesterday, we think the only remaining work is the paving at the main entrance, which is weather dependent. And then there are some of the sidewalks that are still curing on the front part, but the other sidewalks should be open for conditional use. The Wildflower Court fire alarm replacement project. I have information as of yesterday, which I wish I had information as of today, but as of yesterday, it was out to bid. The contractors had asked for an extended time, and there was a little bit of question of if we should keep it out to bid or if we should pull that bid and maybe do like an MR. And I apologize, but I don't have the answer. I don't know if there's been an answer to that. I mean, as of now, it's still a live bid with an extended deadline. We already talked about the ED renovation and addition. We already talked about nurse call replacement, and the BRH third projection phase 2 has been no change, is also still on hold until people have more bandwidth to figure out what to do with that one. Any questions?
Well, I have one. Can you remind me, what is an MR as opposed to a finish?
So an MR is, I'm laughing because we just did this for the nurse call, and basically it's a request, but that would be for modification. So that's not the exact words, but instead of going to low bid, in some cases, you can go straight to the source to hire a contractor or to do a project.
What does MR stand for? Modification request. Any other questions? Well, good. Well, thank you. So then, next we have facility master plan update.
Thank you. So in that packet, I included a couple of the little snippets that came from their last presentation. We did have a meeting earlier this week where they did a presentation on the outpatient side and some of the opportunities we have. It's a little bit more encompassing. This is just kind of a snippet of what we had. And so what I provided you guys is kind of the outpatient surgery use rate. And so what they've been able to do is they pulled data from Alaska sources and Washington sources. So we know all the surgeries that took places in those two states. They've identified the primary service area is the Juneau market. So when they talk about PSA, that's CBJ. So as you can see, the use of outpatient surgeries has increased as well as kind of the total market for that. While our market share has remained relatively flat over the 5 years that we look at here. And so we see some areas for opportunities in these numbers. They'll be going through and they're trying to flesh out, make more firm recommendations. But this is kind of just a snippet of what we hope to see when they do their presentation in December. Well, I go back to the presentation. They're hoping to wrap the project up sometime in December, with a thought being we bring them on site for kind of a strategic planning session. They'll go through their presentation. We'll bring in maybe another speaker and talk strategy and how we implement some of these things. There's also a content and patient market share as well. Some of the numbers are the same. There's a lot of leakage outside of our current area. So we knew some of these things. This is old data. So some of this has been, we've tried to address some of these out migration through, the addition of orthopedics. There is some other things we're working on. So you still have dermatology, cardiology, rheumatology, some of that stuff that's needed. So that's just a snippet, kind of status where we're at. I guess I'd open it up for questions.
Well, I've got some questions. So I had a very hard time interpreting this. Well, partly because there are all these acronyms and.
Yeah. They'll define it in the presentation. They'll go through each of the pieces. They'll walk through what primary service area, secondary service area, total service area.
So maybe this is just in there, is it?
This is one of 72 slides. I can remember, they had a ton of slides. So I tried to give you a piece of it because it is a little bit overwhelming with the total data.
But I'm still, I heard what you were saying as you went by really quick, but I still don't get how to interpret the numbers.
Yeah.
So if we look just, for example, genital urinary, so we've got total OP surgery cases. And so I think that's
Back to the previous one. Sorry, you're wrong on that one. The use rate, is that the one you're looking at?
well, I'm not sure. Yes. Use rate, primary service area. So it would help to have a figure caption, I think, to tell some of those things. But okay, so here we're going along and we have 179 and so forth, up to 280. Whoop. And what are those?
Cases.
Those are actual surgeries
In,
from our market. These are the total surgeries that came from our zip code.
okay, so some of these are Virginia Mason, some of them are here.
Yeah, and on the second set of slides, they have market share. And then there is another set of slides where they go through kind of the out migration. It's not refined, but they go like, they have total cases and where it's going. So we know Virginia Mason's picking up. I think it's somewhere between 12 and 15% of the surgeries are going to them. Providence is picking up 11 or 12%. And then, I mean, we are the primary, we have the largest segment. But then they go over a few other smaller pieces.
Okay, so then if I were to figure out Juneau's population and divide the numbers in the blue, with blue heading, I get the yellow surgeries per thousand.
Yeah.
Okay, then what's over here under the orange? What is this 56.7 and 16.9?
That's the change. So it's a percent change in cases and a percent change in use rate?
From 2021 to 2025?
Yes.
Thanks.
So you can see like some of the services are growing, some are shrinking. Some of that's based on the age of our population, demographic stuff.
So then,
So if you go around and look at like musculoskeletal, right, you can see like that's orthopedic. The total cases increased by 3.9% over the 5 years. The use rate has increased by 6.7%.
but genital urinary has gone way up. So it's,
Yeah, and that's going to be associated with an aging population that needs more of the.
is GYN in there too? Is that mainly urology?
That's mainly urology.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
This is just a snippet, so there's a lot more to come, it's just still peeling the onion.
It smokes 15 minutes. What are we gonna do with the rest of it?
I'd like to karaoke.
Do you have some karaoke?
I didn't set up these, so we do have the stuff down.
Yes.
By the way, I have a question.
Yes.
For Joe, when do you think the master facility plan, when's that presentation or when are they going to start giving us some clue?
So they should be wrapping up their part of it in December. And so today, what we're looking at, and I've talked to Mark about this, is bringing them back in January, have them do a full presentation of the master facility plan and their recommendations. They've also engaged with Tom Cruzy as a contractor, so he's looking for them at this point, bringing him on to talk the strategy piece of it. So we can bring him in, talk strategy and then implementation, and then we spend a couple hours at the board refining kind of our next 3 year strategic plan. Yeah, that wouldn't doubt about that. That's kind of the tentative plan.
If I may, Tom Cruzy, that's the name, that's a Seattle guy, right?
He worked for Virginia Mason until I think mid-October is when his last day is, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Yesterday, I think it was. But he was their vice president of strategic planning.
Yeah, she's strategist.
Yeah.
She's strategist. Yeah. So he's amazing. He's really great. They have me.
Nothing else? The next time we'll have karaoke?
We were just talking about it. If we are, if we get under 30 minutes, that we would take whatever time was left to, you can start the karaoke.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, well then,
Let's come back up the answers.
no objection, we'll consider the adjourned. Since we're at the end of the agenda.
Thank you, guys.
But I would be a minute or two late. I was doing a radio show. So.
You weren't doing science Friday.
Oh, right, I'm sorry, I didn't get.
Oh, no, yeah. Yeah.